Hello everyone and welcome back. So today we'll continue our SvelteKit starter template. We are in a good point in terms of the development. We finalized all the public facing pages, including both the public pages content and the authentication part of the app. So we are ready to start with the actual dashboard of the app, where we have a couple of things to do. But first, I went ahead and let's get right into it. I went ahead and created, admittedly, a not so great looking logo for this. And one thing that I wanted to add was some favicons, and also add the necessary things for us to have a working PWA. Since most of the projects that I am developing require, or it would be nice to have some sort of mobile app, but I'm just one developer and not that much time for doing some native app development. Having a PWA is the next best thing. Sorry. So yeah, we are going to add PWA capabilities to this, and we'll take it from there. I'm just doing some slight changes here and there. The actual logo, because the shape of the S is not so great. But yeah, what can you do? I have the excuse that I'm not a designer, so that will have to do for now. Okay, like so. So let's jump into it. So let me quickly find the link to what we are going to be using. So there are two services that are nice for this. So we have these two. Favicon generator and favicon with an Y. For the last projects that I did a favicon, and the cool thing about these two tools right here is that they're not just generating the favicon. In case you don't know, the favicon is this little icon right here that appears next to the name of your web page or the title of the web page. And these two tools not only they generate a favicon, but they also generate all the other icons necessary for PWA. Because, I mean, you can have something simple, but in order to make sure that everything looks okay for all scales, for all different distributions, and on all types of screens, you need to have multiple dimensions for your icons, and they just generate a neat bundle with everything that you would need out of that. One thing that I want to make sure, so I want to make sure that the logo is actually a bit bigger, so I think let's quickly check that. So in here it should look the same, but it doesn't. Okay, so in case you're wondering, I'm using Inkscape for this. Like so. That's it. So I resized it a bit so that the base has right there. So that the base is a bit bigger in order to generate the favicons. So the nice thing about this favicon app right here is that you can use SVG directly into this. So I can just drag and drop this. It's not that good at because it's not a square image, but we'll go ahead and see what we get back. And the favicon is ready. Okay, and let me quickly grab the document necessary. Okay. And with that, you can see that it generated the thing, all these icons necessary for us on various sizes. And nicely, it also gave us a manifest.json, but we'll come back to that in a second. One small little detail with this favicon app is the fact that when I tested the icons for the apps. So when you install the app on a device, the icons miss some padding and the logo is a bit skewed, so you can't see the logo properly, but we'll see. I'm not sure if it's a problem with the tool itself. I also wanted to maybe test to see how the favicon generator compares to it, but maybe it's just a problem about the way he handled the logo. So maybe we should give the logo itself some padding, so make the document a bit bigger or something. But we'll see. All right, so let me take a look. Okay, we can delete this PNG right here and I want to update this. I think I also have, but I already deleted it. Let me quickly grab this again. Okay, so we also have a README with the necessary links. So I can just grab these right here. And I think I will just, let's see, I paste them right here, get rid of this one. And let's make sure to declutter things a bit. And besides some things that can remain here in root, let's copy these and quickly toss them right here. Okay, so we'll need to update our links right here. And you know what? I can just go like so. So slash favicon will be replaced by slash image icons favicon, like so. Except for the main favicon, which will actually live here in the root of our static directory. But yeah, other than that, we can just leave them like so. And I also want to make sure to update this right here. So let's use the picker from here to get the hex code. Like so. What this will do is for every place where we will use something, it will make sure to use the proper color for our theme, which is this blue right here. And upon saving, you can already see, I mean, of course, you can barely see it since it's a small icon, but now it's there. All right, so with that out of the way, let's discuss about the PWA part. So in case you don't know, PWA stands for Progressive Web App, which is, let's say, a web app on steroids. It's just a web app that has some additional capabilities such as installability. Also, it has the possibility to cache some data. So the definition is a bit broad. A PWA is basically a way to make a web app do more. But we'll just focus on some basic things for our use case, at least at the moment. And what we will need is just two things, which is this manifest right here. And I'd like to change the extension to be a bit more clear on what is it doing. So we have this manifest.web manifest right here, which for the most part handles let's say the asset part of what you will need from an app. For example, here the name should be SvelteKit starter. And this right here, I'm thinking maybe you can use the same thing for the short name. So I can't remember exactly the difference between these two, but for the most part, the name is what you see on, or what you will see when you actually install the app. So for the most part, this is the responsibility of the web manifest to tell that your web app can be installed and how to treat that scenario. And the next thing that we will need, we will also come and update this, but let me just quickly add this right here. It's in our routes, we will have a service worker file. And this is supposed to handle the logic of the app. And for this, this is fairly standard. I will just copy paste a template that I have been using. So what you will see in here is a series of actions, which are these two, a series of event listeners. And this is the responsibility of this logic part. So imagine that the service worker works basically like a proxy, which stands between your app and the server. And whenever the user makes a request, the service worker will intercept it and do the appropriate thing. For example, in the case of this event, installation event, what it will do is make sure to cache the assets for the app. You can see in here that we have, I'm not sure, I think that this comes, from SvelteKit. It gives you all these utilities for the build files and the static files in here. And you can see that with this, whenever the installation event is triggered, your assets will be cached. Another event is this activate event, in which makes sure that your cache is up to date. And the one of the beefier ones is the fetch event, which is basically what I mentioned previously, this proxy nature of the service worker. And basically in here, it intercepts the request and tries to see if we have the possibility to serve something from the cache. And if so, it will do this. One small thing that I have to mention here is the fact that for this, at some point, I will take a look at the at using some of the Cloudflare infrastructure with this, because I think that this is not playing that well with the Cloudflare infrastructure. And I think you can also make it a bit, not necessarily performant, but maybe a bit more convenient to, just use the platform itself. But yeah, that's it for this part right here. Now, for the manifest itself, I will want to add a few other keys in here. I'm not sure. Let me quickly search for a web manifest schema. To see if I find anything. Yeah, so I can't find anything at this moment. But so we will just add by hand. So we have our start URL, which will be /dashboard. You can go with this language. I'm not sure if we need any direction. Oh, we actually have all these things down here. Let me just... I messed up a bit, but it's okay. Let's grab these from here and add them up here. We can grab our theme color from here. We can add this as our description right here. And we can just add this lang right here. And now let me quickly open Google Chrome in order to test this. Okay, right here. So we have some issues. Oh, yeah, in here we need to make sure that we have the same or the proper path for our icons. All right. I think I will just... It complains about this purpose right here for maskable, but we can just remove this. I'm not sure. It's not actually necessary. Okay. And also one thing that I want to do in here is make sure to add this part right here. And let me quickly okay. I want to have this. And also let's do a mobile one. Maybe you can find something that a bit better. This one seems to be the better one. Okay, and so what you can see in here is some warnings about not having. Okay, so previously it complained that we don't have a screenshot, so that we have a better experience for this rich installed UI. We will make sure to add the appropriate screenshots for this. And I just want to make sure that we have the proper resolution. I mean, I think there shouldn't be an issue. Whatever. Like so, and this one will be like so. And with that, we have everything we need for these to work properly. And in a browser that supports this, so I'm using Firefox as my daily driver, but it really lacks when it comes to PWA capabilities. The better one is Chrome in this case, and you can already see this button right here, which says install SvelteKit starter, which conveniently is the name of our, the name is set by us in the web manifest. But I want to add one last thing, and we can be done with this part. What I like to do is to add an action right here. So usually this will be the main call to action. But in our case will be a secondary one. Yeah, usually I go with something like get started now, but in our case will be something like try it out, like so. And on click, for the moment I will just console.log this one, and let's make sure we have a method. Oh, I close Chrome, but I will need to come back to that. In the meantime, let's add in our states folder a class for handling the PWA state globally in case we might need this somewhere else. And this will actually, I'm not sure if this will work, but it will not be that. Instead, it will be of type before install prompt. Yeah. Unfortunately, this is not a standardized API. It's not available in all browser, and that's why you can't find it in I think it's the TSDOM or something like that. libdom. Sorry. It's not a standard type, so because of that, we will just go with any, and hopefully someday this will be. Oh, but we can't specify an any. Okay, so Let me see if I can find something for this. So yeah, you can see this right here. There's poor browser support for this, but well, you can ignore this, I guess. Just have this as state of node. And our method will be used. Okay, let's take this and see it in a bit and export this state right here. Okay, I will move this and move this part in here, and I will check if we don't have a deferred install prompt. So this means we will not be able to install this. We'll just go to dashboard and return. Okay. So and in here we will use our method, and I forgot to export this. Okay. And last thing that we will do is, first of all, we are in development. We will actually need to register the service worker ourselves, because this is not done by default. like so. So the interesting thing about SvelteKit is that because we have, and it's in routes. Yeah, that's correct. Because we have our service worker script right here in the root of our routes folder, SvelteKit will take care of registering it for us if we are in a production environment. But in development, unfortunately, it doesn't do that, so we'll need to do this ourselves. And the last thing that we need to do is to basically what we want to do is intercept a certain event, which is the before install prompt event. The weird part about this is that you're not necessarily sure when that is triggered. There are some rules around it that is not instantly triggered. So at some point during the user having visited your website a bunch, it will actually trigger that event. And as the name suggests, before install prompt is basically, so unfortunately I closed Chrome, but that's okay. So it's something like before hitting that install button right here, you can capture that and it will become available for our handler right here. So that's what we will do. Like so. So basically we're just preventing the default and then taking that event and instantiating it to our state. And in here, we just make sure to add our event listener. And also whenever this gets destroyed, we will just unsubscribe. We'll just remove the event listener. And with that, I think that our action right here will work. So let's try it out. Okay, so unfortunately, okay, it failed to register our service worker. Let's refresh the browser. So apparently it failed to find. Oops. This is weird. I'm wondering why that is. Maybe I just need to start the dev server. Let's see. So in here in Chrome, seems like it encountered an error. Okay. But for the most part, that should be good. But in here, in Chrome, again, a 404. This is quite weird. Well, I think that I'll just test to see this one right here. And you can see that it was indeed installed, which means that it's working. We just have a little weird problem with our, and from my gut tells me that it's just a development server issue. So I think I will just leave it like that for the moment. I'll go ahead and do a push with this migration, and I will actually test the changes on my actual device. So let's quickly take a look in here. Let's put a comment. We'll put a pin in this. I'll come back to this a bit later. Yeah, everything looks okay for the most part, and with that, we can actually start with our dashboard. All right, so I think we will take a quick break. And after that, we will come back and start with the UI part. We have a couple of things to do. So the first thing will be the sidebar of the dashboard section. We'll start with that, and I'll see you soon. So we're back, and I tested the installation on the mobile phone, and it actually works, but there are a couple of things that are wrong in here, I think, in our manifest. Yeah, and first I flipped a mistake in here in our start URL. And also in here, we need our theme color to be this. And our background, we'll just take a look at our body right here. It's white, so all right. Like so. And now our manifest should be okay. But also testing, I realized that before we actually start with the dashboard, it would be okay to add an error page. So I realized that the manifest was wrong for the start URL because I got a 404, and I will make sure that we also have a nice image displayed for this. Let me quickly find a cute little image from Undraw. I already have it saved, so I will just copy paste it. So for example, if we take a look, not about, because this is actually a path that exists. So I'd like to customize this default error page right here that SvelteKit comes with. And since I already have the markup for this, I will just grab it, not spend too much time with this one, just explain what we have in here. So we have two error pages, one for everything that is not covered by this plus error that page. So how it works is that everything that lives in a child of our routes will hit this error boundary of plus error.svelte, but everything else, like for example our hooks.server.yes, or I think even something in our layout.server.ts. Oh, and I don't actually need that. This is what we have. So everything in here, and I think if we also have some server error on our slash route, will not be captured by this plus error in here. So for that, we will need this error.html, which is a static one. And in here, we have basically the same. It's the same content. So you can see we have a status, a message, which will be replaced in here. So we have a little script to set our color scheme. And based on our status code, we will display an appropriate message. And also we have some CSS in here, make it look pretty. We'll just need to make sure that we update our values for our CSS variables. I always keep forgetting how these are actually called. So you can see that they are variables, but they have custom properties. I think that's the official name for these. And you can see this in action. And for example, I can see that this is actually coming from here, from our error.html. So everything in right after the slash path is captured by that, because you can see that the color here is wrong. So I actually want the hex code for this so I can turn it into, oh, we use HSL here. That's nice. Okay, well, in that case, we can just grab this value for primary. Like so. And voila, it works. Maybe we can also update the background and foreground to match our theme. Okay, so for the light background, it's okay. And our foreground, this one. As for the dark, so the background is the same. I think that just the foreground, yeah, is slightly lighter. So this should be our value. And we can lose everything after the dot, like so, and this should be it. And just to make sure that we have that this HTML page is displayed in here. You can see this, but I'm wondering if, how can I test the other one? I need a scenario to make this work. So yeah, it still goes to the root. I think I can try to throw something on the dashboard. Quickly signing. So I have access to the dashboard, but if I go in here and if in our server.ts file I go ahead and create a load method and just error with a 500. Let's see if the server picks it up. Nice. So you can see that in here it hit our other boundary. Where is it? I can't see any root in here. But I'm wondering, why do I have that code for the error? Ah, it's because the page must give us an error message. With this, okay, yeah, now I understand why. Okay, so oh, hi there, Rebecca Jill. We have a chatter here with us, but unfortunately their headphones are not working, so we have to chat back and forth. Let's just quickly, should I remove this? I think we will need it, but it can just be empty for the moment. And yeah. With this, we truly finished with the public facing part. And now we can finally start focusing on the dashboard layout. So we will go to Shadcn and take a look. So what I want to do is, I think we have here so this looks like a nice dashboard layout, and I want to have something similar. So we will have our links in here. We will have our logo up top, and we also have some sections because we will have our, for the moment, we will have only this dashboard route, but we also have an admin group in here for our admin routes, and also something similar to this, a drop down for the user actions, stuff like managing your profile, settings, and also logout action. So yeah, we want something similar to this. And for that, I think we have some code in here. So here is an example sidebar. And I think we can just grab this right here for the moment. And go to our, here in our lib, we'll have in our layout and component for our app sidebar. Okay. Okay, so I was wondering where these REST props come from. But we will not actually use that. Instead, what we will do is in here have we want this to control our sidebar because okay, so let me take a look. So we have this button. I don't necessarily want a button, just an item will be fine. Oops. I need to get rid of this part. And what I want to do in here is we will have a link that goes to our root route. And we will have our logo image. We'll leave it like that for the moment. Okay, so I want to grab this. I don't necessarily want all these. I don't want to componentize this part. The moment we will have something like that. You know what? Let's just quickly comment this part out. And let's actually render our sidebar. So we want a layout in our app group, route group. And in here, let's quickly grab and modify this. Also, let's update this import path and let's make sure we export our class right here, like so. And for the moment, we will just render the children in here. And let's see, we got something. Yeah, we got our sidebar. It's not looking that great, but fix that. I'm wondering if I remove this style. It looks okay. So I want to actually let's see. So I will need to add a header right here. And actually render our sidebar trigger. That way I am able to collapse the sidebar. And now that I'm thinking about it, we actually have quite a few things to take care of. But I think we will just start with the sidebar itself. So for that, one thing that I want to make sure that I have in here is yeah, this link should look fine. So I'll grab this. If the sidebar is closed, I will just have our logo, but if the sidebar is open, sorry about that, I actually want to render the name of the app. And let's see what we got. Okay, not looking that great, but we can style this. Okay, now the image looks a lot better. I'm wondering about the text. If I should leave it like that or have it a little bit smaller. Okay, and let's try just a tiny bit here now. Okay, and I actually, even though it's a bit harder to read, I think it looks okay like that. And yeah, it works like that. Okay. Now, with that out of the way, we like to add our links, but I want to make sure that I have global state for that. So I go ahead in our state and add the navigation. That's Svelte right here. And this actually needs to be a .svel.ts file. My bad. That way we don't need this script tag. Okay, so I'm wondering if I should skip ahead a bit and add other types of links that we might need. And I think I will just do that. Since I already know what I want to have here, why not go ahead and populate this? And that should be the last one. Let's just quickly update the icons. Like that, and we will have I was thinking of having a helper method, but you can just go ahead and have a piece of state right here, which will be a derived state. Like that. So basically, let me just close and open this again. This is a bit annoying. I'm wondering why this error. So yeah, these are the sections that we need. So the app links will be something that we have at the top. Then we will have another group for our admin routes with the roles, invites, and feedback. Sorry, so the roles will be the page where admins can assign roles to the user. Invites controls our invite-based flow for accessing the app. And feedback will be the place where you can manage any feedback sent by basically anyone from our contact page, and also our feedback dialog that we will add in just a bit. And then the drop-down links will live in that drop-down that you saw as an example right here. So all of these links in here. And then we want to make sure we get the active link by searching the page URL, taking the path, and basically if we have inner pages, like for example, if we have, let's say /invite/1, let's say we are on the page where we can see details of an invite, just as a matter of speaking, /invite/1, in which one is the ID of an invite. So that is a subpath, but we make sure that we take, we split by the slash, and that way the first one will always be the slash. This is our navigation. So basically, if we split this, we will get two parts, a slash and a dashboard. And we make sure to always take the second part of that array and match it to the URL that we have in here. So basically mushed all of our links into an array, and in there we try to find the active link by like this. The slice, what it does, it makes sure it leaves the first slash in here when checking and doing this check. And with that, our state is looking good. And now we can go in here and we can actually grab this, and instead of having a separate component for this, we will just go here and create a snippet. And in here, we will have an argument of menu links, which will be, and actually, let's make sure we export our navigation state like so. And now in here, we can go ahead and get navigation state. But it's not found, so we'll import it manually. And it seems like indeed we have a problem. So this should be just a property and should be seen. Let me quickly open up our editor. Let's see. I think the TypeScript server is still starting. So yeah, the error went away. Yeah, and now it's seen. Come on. I'm wondering what's the issue with the TypeScript server in here. Okay. And this should be working. We just need to make sure that we actually render our snippet like so. Oh, and one quick thing that I forgot is to give this the props, to spread the props. So same, or for the most part, the same thing that is in the example right here. What we have in here is just that in here there is no link. This is just a plain button, but we need a URL for our purposes. And I'm wondering what's the issue, why these are not displayed. Let's refresh for good measure. Oh, and you can see it right now. The styling is a bit off, but we can fix that later. Right now, I want to make sure to add we actually have a few things to add. Let's take them one by one. So first things first, we will need to display conditionally the admin group links. So for that, we will need to take in some props. We will need a user roles prop. Maybe also add the profile while we at it. Profile will be a profile select. And user roles will be an array of user roles select. And in here, you can grab this. Make sure to add an if condition. If any of the roles matches the admin role. Display the sidebar group and just make sure to add a title. It is not a group title, it's actually a group label. And I think that this user, oh, yeah, this is undefined because we actually need to go in here and pass the roles. But first, we will need a layout.server file. Git load method. In here, we will read our locals and grab both the profile and roles. The thing is that the profile can be null. So we'll need to do a redirect if that is the case. Otherwise, just return the profile and the roles like so. And now we can grab the data. And we can pass our arguments from that. And I think that for some reason we don't have a profile. And it's trying to redirect, but it cannot do that. So we don't have a profile. Which is okay. Oh, and I think is because I have a session and a user. This is quite a weird edge case. The proper way to handle this would be to have a create profile page. That we can use as a fallback. Technically, we should never end up in this scenario in the first place. I think this is due to the fact that in our migration, okay, that's indeed odd because we actually create a profile. Is this because Oh man. So yeah, that's why, because we don't set our profile in locals. Okay. We found a culprit. Okay, so what do we have here? I think we have the user ID, and we can actually get the profile by the user ID. Okay, and Copilot was smart enough to recognize what we need. Since this is not that of a complicated scenario. And in here, we can and let's also make sure to also set our roles. For these, of course, we will need our DB. Also, our user ID. Oh, like so. Okay, and with that, should be working. But I'm wondering if I should just quickly add a check for is that is related to authorization, but whatever. We'll just do it now. This will just error out it to 403 and should be handled by our error pages gracefully. So with that, this should work. But if we somehow end up in this weird hypothetical scenario, instead of redirecting, what about just error out? I think we don't actually have anything to grab. Maybe the user. Because technically this is the only scenario in which we can end up here, which is somehow the user and the session were created, but the profile was not. And now my paranoia activated. I need to make sure and double check. Yeah, so we create a profile indeed. And we don't check in here if we actually created a profile. Okay. But we still end up with the user created if that's the case, because we had it a step before that. I guess it's fine. We have this check in place. It's not the cleanest thing, but yeah. At least now our dashboard should work. We should get back everything that we need. And indeed, you can see that this is working properly. Nice. Okay. And with that, one thing that I want to make sure is that our sidebar links actually have this menu button. Let's have a size of LG in here. Let's have some large buttons because these looked a bit too small. And also let's bump if I put a class in here like so, size of 6. So it's overridden. I think this is coming from the sidebar button itself. So yeah, this will not work. Instead, what we will need to do is make sure we have a class in here. And this basically will target any SVG. These are direct children of that. And yeah, this looks much better. Like so. Okay. And the last thing that we will do is in our footer, instead of having this component right here, maybe take a look at the code just for some inspiration. We can grab this, but we will just have a snippet. Like that. Of course, we will need to import our drop-down menu. Mm. And let's just quickly, because we will need these in two places. Okay, so these dots vertical can stay in here, but the avatar itself we can create another snippet for this. No, since we will use the avatar here and also here, I think that it's okay to have it like that. Just okay, so it was imported properly. Let's try again. This time it worked. And instead of, we will not have this grayscale. In here we will have the profile picture, and the alt will be profile display name. Let's have the display name in here. And we can just render this like so. And so there's something wrong with the TypeScript server. Or maybe the icon is not named dots vertical. Let's see. Ellipse is vertical. Okay. Okay, in here again we can just render our avatar. And in this group, instead of having the items added like that, we will just iterate over our drop-down links. And we can grab the same child from here. Oh. And we can grab that with a snippet. Like that. Okay, and last thing. In here, this drop-down item we will use a snippet for it, but we will have a button. It's just that this item will live in a form. So that we can trigger our sign out action. Like that. And I think that this looks good. So let's just render our nav user in here. And voila. It looks okay. Just a couple of minor changes needed. First of all, this fallback right here. Instead of this, we will just display this user icon like that. Nice. Okay. Another thing that I'm wondering about. Let me double check. So I think it has something to do with the menu button. You can see right here, they don't like is the fact that our things in here that should be sidebar menu buttons, but that's the weird part. In here they have this cursor pointer, but in here they don't. So wondering why that is. Okay, so I think it's because we have this cursor default on the item itself, on the drop-down item itself. So let's just remove this. Okay, so now it works for the item, for the drop-down item, which is great. Now, how we can fix the trigger. So it's weird because let me quickly make sure that I verify the menu button. So the menu button doesn't have a cursor. Or doesn't have the cursor property set. So I'm guessing in that case, no, it doesn't come from menu item either. So why do I have this? because I have the link, but is that it? Because that's a link. Okay. In that case, I'm not sure. I guess drop down trigger can have, and it would actually be good to have a class, right? Because the trigger sets an action in motion. So I guess I can just add this. It wouldn't hurt. Yet it still doesn't work. Okay. This is a bit odd. Yeah, I have absolutely no idea why this doesn't work. Maybe that's just for the sake of it. Put a cursor pointer in here, but let me just make sure that. Okay, so this right here should be the button. Okay, so like that it works. Okay, so I can just so the item, I think it's safe to leave it, yeah, because we need to remove the cursor default, but from the trigger, we'll just discard the changes. And the last thing that I want to fix would be this right here, this sign out action. And let's try this. Okay, and it works as expected. All right. So yeah, with that, our sidebar, well, is almost done. One thing that I want to add here, just one more thing, which is the feedback form, so that a sign-in user has the option to sign in a bit more easily. Sorry, to leave some feedback. I'm already a bit tired, so because of that, I think this is a good place to finish the stream. So yeah, we made some good progress with our dashboard layout. We added our sidebar. The next thing that we'll need to do is have our contact form. There's a dialog pop up for the plugin user, and also make sure to style the inset, which is basically the content besides the sidebar, to style that a bit. We will also have to add another piece of state for managing the title and the header. I just want to have a separating from the, you know, that we have that public state. For our public pages with a title and a header, we will have something similar. It's just that I want them to be a separate concern. So with that, I thank you for being here, for watching us making some good progress on our SvelteKit starter template. And I will see you in the next one. Have a great day and keep it rating. Bye.